All right, so you all should have the link to the custom GPT. So I'm just going to go to my search bar and put that link in there. Then you'll see the interactive counseling scenario trainer. And with most custom GPTs, they will have some sample prompts here that you can start with. So I've given you a couple. Give me a scenario to role play. I would like to role play an intake session. I would like to role play a rupture during the counseling process. And I would like to role play closing a counseling relationship. So at the end of counseling, what's common referred to as termination or transition. So you can interact using one of those, or you can just type using your general prompt skills that you have. You can give it as much direction, as much persona, as much personality as you would like. Um, you can ask it to be compliant, resistant, or any number of features that you want. And, this is always a work in progress. So keep playing around with your prompts, and I'll also be editing it in real time. So I'm going to start with just one of the prompts here. Give me a scenario to role play. So you'll see it gives you a client scenario, name, age, a little bit of cultural background, reason for referral, and some more background information. So this is something similar to what you might get in a referral form. So limited information, Maria 26. We can see what's going on here. So then it says, you're the counselor. Begin the session by making the first statement. Maria will respond as realistically as possible. So you can interact via just typing here. So you can see I just use a minimal encourager, just restating the actual thing that they say. Client says, yeah, I've been working a lot of hours lately and I just feel like I'm ever catching up on rest. It's like there's always something else that needs to be done. Like you can't ever get rest. It's ongoing. So just practicing some reflection, some paraphrasing, and then, maybe some open questions, closed questions, and kind of just facilitate the session as I might want to. So I could also click on voice mode and let's just see what happens then. All right, so let's continue the session with Maria using voice mode.
Sure, switching to voice mode now. Let's continue.
Yeah, so Maria just sounds like it feels like it's nonstop and you don't know where to start. So you decided to come to counseling.
Yeah, I guess I just got to a point where I felt like I couldn't handle it on my own anymore. My doctor suggested it, and honestly, I wasn't sure about coming, but here I am.
Yeah. So your doctor made the suggestion, you weren't sure about it, but you're here. Can you tell me a little bit about what doctor it was and what prompted them to make the referral?
It was my primary care doctor. I went in because I wasn't sleeping well and kept feeling exhausted. I mentioned how stressed I've been and that it's hard to focus sometimes. Uh, she said it might help to talk to someone about it. I wasn't sure at first because, my family doesn't really do this kind of thing.
Yeah, so you mentioned your family doesn't really do this kind of thing. Can you tell me a little bit more about, maybe how mental health was referred to in your family?
Yeah, I mean, in my family, it's not really something we talk about. Like, if you're stressed or upset, you just deal with it. My mom always says, you just have to be strong and keep going. I don't think they'd understand why I'd need to talk to someone about my feelings.
So you
It's
mentioned,
kind of seen as, I don't know, unnecessary or maybe
yeah,
weak.
yeah. So you mentioned your mom. Can you tell me a little bit about who else you would consider a part of your family growing up, and then who you would consider your family now?
Growing up, It was my parents, my older brother, and me. My dad worked a lot, and my mom stayed home to take care of us. My brother moved out a few years ago, so now it's mostly me, my parents, and my younger siblings. I'd say my immediate family is still really close. I also have some extended family, but they're back in Mexico. Right now, I feel like it's mainly on me to support everyone here.
Yeah, so you just feel the weight of wanting and needing to support them.
Exactly. It's like they've done so much for me,
Mm,
you know? Especially my parents. They sacrificed a lot to come here.
yeah,
I feel like it's my turn to give back, but sometimes it's just
yeah,
overwhelming. Like, I can't let them down.
yeah. So on the one hand, you want to give back, and on the other hand, it just feels like so much for you to do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I want to be there for them, but sometimes it feels like I'm drowning trying to keep up with everything. And then I feel guilty for even
Mm,
thinking that because they've done so much for me.
yeah,
It's just a lot.
yeah, there's some guilt there too. And
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I shouldn't be complaining or feeling stressed because they've had it so much harder than me. But sometimes I just feel like I'm carrying too much and I don't know how to balance it all.
so you're grateful for what they've given you. You acknowledge kind of the privilege that you have, and you still have this desire to give back and to, to support them, but also just finding it hard and it's taking a toll on you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I feel so grateful for everything they've done and I want to honor that. But at the same time, it's like, and I don't know how to keep going like this without it all falling apart.
Yeah. So you feel you're at a breaking point and something's got to change.
Yeah, that's how it feels. Like I can't keep going the way I have been, but I'm not sure what to do or how to even start making a change. It's just overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, family and giving back's really an important value to you. Um, if it's okay, can we talk about some other areas of life and kind of see where that goes?
Yeah, that's fine. I think it might help to look at the bigger picture. What kind of areas do you mean?
All right. Can you break character for a moment?
Of course. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm finding that you're maybe a little bit too engaged. I'd like you to be a little more resistant, a little bit less insightful into what's going on, and really make me push to connect with you.
Got it. I'll dial it back and make Maria a bit more resistant and less forthcoming. Let's continue when you're ready.
Yeah. Could you also maybe change your voice tone to be a little less positive and optimistic?
Understood. I'll adjust the tone to reflect a more hesitant and less optimistic approach. Let's pick up whenever you're ready.
Right. So Maria, is this the first time you felt this way, or have there been other times in your life where you've kind of been at your breaking point, as you said?
I don't know. I guess maybe I've felt like this before, but I don't really think about it too much. It's just life, you know? You deal with it and move on.
Yeah. So you deal with it and move on, and it's hard to pinpoint maybe a time where it's been similar to the way it is right now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, things have always been busy, but I don't know if it's ever felt this heavy before.
Mm.
Or maybe I just didn't notice it as much.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. Something's really different this time.
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
Yeah. Something's really different this time, it seems.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, life's always been stressful, so it doesn't feel that different. But I guess it's just piling up more now, and I'm feeling it.
All right. So I think you all can see, the way that you can interact with ChatGPT as a client, either through text or through voice. And then, you always are going to get the transcript, whether it's through voice or whether it's through text. You can copy this. You can say, how did I do? Can you give me some feedback? It'll give you some feedback. Again, and you can consider this in your practice. Again, this isn't, and then it closes there with another question for you. How do you think Maria responded to your questions and reflections? Were there moments where she seemed more engaged or less so? What might you adjust? So I can, again, continue to interact in whatever way that I would like to. One thing I want to do is, can you identify the basic micro skills that I used and their frequency? So you can imagine if I did this over the course of a whole session, just what might come up, and how it might be able to really look at my skills. And really, again, the goal is to, again, give you some information to prompt your deliberate practice, your reflective practice. So you can play around with any prompt, any client scenario that you might want via verbal, via text. One other thing that I was playing around with today was you could even ask it to give a nonverbal narration before it responds. I found that that was somewhat helpful, but I didn't felt like it broke the flow. So I didn't really do that as much. So I gave it some instructions to not do that. However, if you find that it starts to give you nonverbals, just tell it to break character, tell it to stop doing that. Again, you can be really directive in what you do and do not want to give to in terms of a prompt, in terms of instructions. And whenever you want to try a new one, you just go up here, click on that little down arrow, click new chat, and you can start again.